With the official launch of the Xbox Series S less than 60 days away and pre-order set to open in 12 days, it is time for us to take a closer look at the power behind this console. Welcome everybody and thank you for joining me. So when it comes to the Xbox Series S, all of the information that we could possibly dream of has now been made official. We know what the design will look like, we know the price, the pre-order date, the release date and all of the features. The only thing left was the specs, and that has now also been made official. Today I just quickly want to break down the technology that powers the Xbox Series S and also touch on a few misconceptions people might have. There is a lot of misleading headlines regarding the speed of the Xbox Series S, and I think that is important to talk about. If you are going to buy this console, you should be informed about exactly what you will be getting. So let's just start off with the official specifications. For the CPU, you will be getting an 8-core 3.6 GHz custom AMD 7nm that is almost identical to what is inside the Xbox Series X. The GPU will be 4 teraflops at 1.55 GHz and you will get 10 GB of GDDR6 RAM, and for the storage you will get 512 GB NVMe SSD. More on the storage of this console a bit later. So what does all of that mean? Well, it means that you will be sitting with a very capable console at a very low price. You will be able to game at full 1440p with frame rates all the way up to 120 frames per second. With the SSD powered by Xbox Velocity architecture, you will get incredibly fast loading times and seamless game switching. I already spoke in details about this console and all of the features, so I'll put a link to that video down in the description if you are interested. So let's just talk about the storage of this console and then we will touch on the speed, or rather the misinformation around the speed. So like I said, you will get 512 GB of storage, and that is just simply not going to be enough. Just to put it into context, Warzone is 200 GB and you will be able to download 2, maybe 3 next generation games and then you will be done. So the external storage option will absolutely be necessary. As I've mentioned in yesterday's video, when you budget for the next generation consoles, you must factor in the external storage prices. So what are your options here? Well, first of all, the new generation consoles will actually have a slot for external storage, unlike the current generation consoles where you can just hook it up via the USB. For the Xbox Series X, the I/O will be 2.5 GB a second raw and 4.8 GB a second compressed. So that is a very fast hard drive, but it is not cheap at all. The bad news here is that you will not be able to use your typical external USB drive, even if it is an SSD. Now let me just be clear, you will still be able to use your old USB drive. If you have saved an Xbox One or Xbox One X game on, you can plug it into the Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X and play those games. It is backwards compatible that way, but that is because it is current generation games. So if you bought Cyberpunk 2077 for the Xbox One X and you have saved it on your USB external drive, you can plug it into one of these next generation consoles and it will be playable, but that is because it is an Xbox One version. If you buy Cyberpunk 2077 optimized for the next generation consoles and you do not have enough space to store it internally, you cannot save it on an external USB drive, even if it is an SSD. That means that you will need a Seagate card to add to your onboard storage. Just to give you the direct quote from Xbox themselves, games optimized for the Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X must be played on the internal SSD or Seagate storage expansion card. That means hooking up an external drive via USB, even if it is an SSD, won't deliver that experience. That was from Pocketland's article. I will put a link down in the description. So how much does these external storage cards cost? It's $219 US. So if you want more storage, factor that price in. The same will hold true for the PlayStation 5 consoles. You can also just uninstall games after you have played them. It is kind of a drag, especially with lots of games being replayable, but it might still be a better option than paying those type of prices. So we covered the power and the storage. Let's just quickly go over the speed. As I've mentioned, the CPU for this console will be nearly identical to the Xbox Series X. The Series S will run at 3.6 GHz, but as you all know, that is not the only contributing factor when it comes to speed. The GPU will have 4 teraflops at 1.55 GHz, and that means that this console will be much faster than the Xbox One and very capable capable in terms of speed, but still considerably slower than the Xbox Series X, even if their CPUs are almost identical. And that brings me to my last point, some of the misconceptions when it comes to the speed of this console. I do not know if any of you saw that IGN video where they suggested that because the CPU of the Series S is 1 GHz faster than the PlayStation 5, it will potentially be faster. That is not how it works. You have to factor in the GPU performance and the SSD. The PlayStation 5 will be twice as fast as the Xbox Series X and definitely faster than the Xbox Series S. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying or they're stupid, and I suggest that they stop lying before stupid people start believing them. And this is not about picking a side. We need to be honest about the performance of these consoles. No, the PlayStation 5 will not be more powerful than the Xbox Series X, and no, the Xbox Series S is definitely not faster than the PlayStation 5. All of these consoles have their strengths and their weaknesses, and it is important that we point out all of those strengths and weaknesses so that the people know exactly what they will get and that they are able to make an informed decision when it comes to deciding which console they will buy this holiday season. But that is really all that I wanted to say. So on that note, this is where I'm going to end it. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you would like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, and as always, please remember to stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and I hope to see you again soon.